Yes, indeed, baby. You are now rocking with the best. Bro Parrish on your screen. Bleav in Cowboys. Special guest today. Now, usually you see Jesse next to me, but Jesse's important. He had other things to do. So I got my man. He is in the Hall of Fame, just in case you ain't know. Ellis Hobbs joining me right now. Listen, let me just put this out here right here off top. Like, you're going to see us on the screen, and there's a lot of love because me and him go way back. We've known each other since we were in grade school, but I would like to welcome Ellis Hobbs, who's filling in today. Former New England Patriot, former Philadelphia Eagle, has the NFL record for longest kickoff return in NFL history. He's in the building. Ellis, welcome.
Slight good disclaimer, because I don't want nobody jumping at me on Twitter or social media. It got broken by Cobb. I can't remember what year, but yeah, I don't want to be posing. But I'm still in the Hall of Fame. But they don't know that they don't have the original gloves. I faked like they did, and then I kept them for myself.
Come on, man. You ain't hit me with the bait and switch, did you?
Yes, sir.
Nah, man, but I appreciate you jumping in today, man. It's a big week. Everybody's looking forward to the beginning of the NFL season. Now, usually we start the show, we look at our watch and we say, hold up, is the Micah Parsons deal done yet? Clearly, that deal is done out the window, but it didn't go. Hey, it did not go the way a lot of us anticipated it going. So now, just to give everybody a little background about you, obviously you did play for Philadelphia and you did play for the Patriots. However, you are from DeSoto, you are from the Metroplex, and you are very familiar with the Cowboys and how everything goes in the city.
Yes, I am.
Don't look so disappointed.
You know what, man? And that's the thing. People always ask me about, oh, man, do you cheer for the Patriots? Oh, man, do you cheer for the Eagles? And it's like, listen, man, I always tell them that was my W-2. Like, that was it. Like, I got paid by those guys. Thank you very much. But I have no personal affiliation with that. But as far as the Dallas Cowboys go, especially with the nostalgia of the new document, the docuseries on Netflix just came out, man, my loyalty has always been there. And I tucked it behind my sleeve. Obviously while I was playing, because I'm out there, trying to continually earn a job and position and make money and all that other good stuff. But man, like you talk about a trade or just this whole ordeal, or really the last 20 plus years of just disappointment. It just got icing on the cake this past week with everything. It just says, I'm not surprised.
Not surprised at all. One thing we're not surprised about, of course, let's Bleav in Cowboys. Brought to you by FanDuel. Ellis Hobbs joining me today, breaking a lot of things down, preparing for the beginning of the season. Of course, kickoff is happening Thursday night. Cowboys visiting the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Ellis Hobbs has a ton of experience. Now, before we jump into all that, we got to address the elephant in the room. Obviously, you played for the Patriots, and we saw what happened with Chapel Bill last night. We're going to take a brief detour because I know this is a Cowboy-centric podcast, but we got to address the elephant in the room, seeing you played for the Patriots. You know about the Patriot way. You know about Bill Belichick. I need to get your thoughts on everything that went down in the game last night in Chapel Hill.
Man, for the number one thing that I felt like Bill was going to have to overcome was how was this modern day age of kid or sports athlete going to receive him as a figurehead, right? Meaning, I'm Bill Belichick. I'm a professional coach or previously for the NFL. You should respect me in that sense. You and I both as well know, especially coming from the high school game that we did this past weekend, there ain't a lot of respect. Those lines are very blurred when it comes to hierarchy, right? And so when it came to recruiting, I didn't know how well he was going to be able to do that. So we get past that part of it, right? Obviously, the whole Bill Belichick model, keeping it quiet, keeping it close to the vest, all those things happened leading up to yesterday's game. So we didn't really know about much going on inside of that world. But man, when we got to the game and that first drive, I'm like, okay, Belichick way, running the ball, moving it down the field consistently. What we call it internally with football is the first 15. Those first 15 plays of those scripted plays look very, very solid. But then the wheels fell off. And somewhere, somehow, I said, okay, where I'm going to see a pivot move to the up direction or the right direction or the down direction is on how well Belichick's able to implement his mastery of adjustments. And it didn't work because they came out the second half, the exact same way, if not worse. Matter of fact, kind of mimicking what DeSoto did in the first half. going into the second half. So, yeah, man, it is definitely going to be an uphill battle. What I do like, though, Bill is never too high, never too low. And he definitely, if they had a blown TCU out last night, he would have still gave the same presentation of face, of personality that he would have did with the loss, right? Or that he did with the loss. So I like the fact that he's in the pocket, he's even killed. It looks like the same old Belichick. The only question now is, how do these kids respond? Because outside of the pay, outside of the NIL, you're still dealing with a young athlete that doesn't maybe know how to handle the adversity of losing, and losing at such a, bad degree.
Right. Nah, and again, we appreciate you all for bearing with us. We know this is a Cowboy-centric podcast. However, we have to address these things. Number one, me and Ellis went to high school together at DeSoto High School, the city of champions, where our football team has won 3 state championships, and we put over 50 players into the NFL. But we won't go down that road because we could talk all day about that.
Let's save it for another time.
Indeed. So back to these Cowboys. Now, we've discussed the Micah Parsons trade. Now, this morning on First Take, David Mulligetta, his agent, got on there with Stephen A. Smith and addressed every single thing, including the false narrative, things that Jerry Jones said that eventually were said not to be true. Your thoughts on David Mulligetta and how he addressed everything following the Parsons trade?
So, I mean, you take Mulligetta, and I want to pair that with what the overall emotion of the city is, right, with Dallas. And I actually was reading up on some of the Facebook comments. You were going at war with some of our friends and jousting back, and everything that you had was based off of either facts or the occurrences that actually happened, where the responses of the Dallas Cowboy fan base against Parsons' agent is purely emotional or nostalgic, right? And the thing that I'm getting about both of those is that they're irrelevant. They're irrelevant to the actual situation, man. And so I actually am glad that he's continually stayed in pocket with professionalism, and the way that Micah Parsons has leaned on him from a not only an agent representation, but hey, that's his space, that's his world, that's what I pay him for. And I hope that players are really starting to see that as a blueprint, because sometimes, and I'll raise my hand, I'll be the first one, we get out of pocket to think that our egos and our alpha is always going to drive the narrative of getting that victory, right? But what it should drive is to put our lieutenants in place and get them to execute in the way that we've actually designed it to be, but also the reason of why we're paying them to execute on the mission at hand. So whether he wanted more money, whether he wanted less money, whether he wanted to be in Dallas, whether he wanted to be in Green Bay, he just kept leaning back into the process. We almost got out of control with his mama, where she kind of crossed over them lines a little bit. And I definitely would have pulled. Matter of fact, I called my mama and said, "Mama, if we ever got into that, I'm having an immediate conversation with you." But it all worked out for the best, man. So outside of everything else, again, the emotional side, which you know, as a fan, you're able to feel that now. I'm able to do that as a right. But I just personally feel like the fan base is going way over boundary lines to put Micah in a situation of he didn't do what he was supposed to do as an athlete to his relationship with his actual agent, which is the business side.
No question. And I think one thing a lot of people are ignoring when you think about this, you talk about the emotion, and we know how emotional Dallas Cowboys fans are. And
absolutely.
David Mulligetta said Micah wanted to be a Cowboy. He grew up cheering for the Cowboys. We did everything that we could so he could remain a Cowboy. And just another thing, I heard Mark Schlereth, 2-time Super Bowl champion, come out and say, this is a situation where the organization uses the machine that they have of PR to pit the fans against the player by painting this picture saying, well, we offered him this, we offered him that.
Man. I mean, the propaganda, it's there, man. I mean, it's that classic situation and classic case of lie to me, Jerry, lie to me. Like, tell me it's real, right? Because we want to be sold that lie, because we want to believe that this really didn't happen the way that it did. Is it not a coincidence that anytime a player makes a decision, it is so selfish and it's so them? But when a team makes a decision to cut a player, to move on from him, it was a smart move, serves him right, all these other things, right? So that narrative is always getting painted. Listen, Jerry got out of hole of a $50 million debt. You don't think he's smart enough to play on the emotions of the Cowboy fan base? Get out of here, man. Cut it out. Cut it out.
Cut it out. Hey, talking about that $50 million debt, obviously referencing the docu-series that is about me, talking about Jerry Jones. Okay.
Look at me.
Emotion aside, we saw Kenny Clark comes in. He's a former Pro Bowler. He'll be 30 in another month or so. You get 2 first-round picks. Now, let's just go on the field because obviously we know that the Cowboys defensively, they were not a Super Bowl team with Micah Parsons. They don't appear to be a team that's going to go compete for a Super Bowl without Parsons, but you have Kenny Clark coming in. Eberflus is there as a defensive coordinator. Just your thoughts overall on the Dallas Cowboys, what they're trying to do defensively now that they don't have Micah Parsons.
I mean, you're going to have to play defense. I mean, you're not going to be able to lean into one aspect of your defensive profile, which is getting pressure on the ball. No one, not in my camp or around any circles, was saying that, Micah Parsons is one of the best run stoppers out there. I mean, hell, it's very clear he ain't trying to do that. Like, he's trying to get to the quarterback and get to him as quickly as possible. So when you have a player like that, you have to be very dominant in that space, right? Which he was. And so what it forces that defensive coordinator to do is architect or orchestrate the defense around that to say, okay, we got to make up for that huge strength, but also for that big deficiency or weakness that we have. Now it's actually a little bit more balanced. It makes all 11 players more dependable on each other of like, okay, we're designing the linemen to stop the run, or we're moving the linebackers in, we're moving the safeties up. But trust me, I've played with a couple of individuals who we've had on our teams, championship teams, of where, their presence is so strong that we're going to go ahead and let them be them. But at the same time, we have to compensate for that. And so I think that Dallas still on paper and just in life, I don't think they really have a strong presence right now as far as being in the running for the Super Bowl or anything else. But I think it does give them a better chance of structuring properly as a defense to force everybody to do their job, not to be cliche.
No, hey, nothing wrong with being cliche, dog. We know who you play for. Now, one thing you mentioned just a second ago, I mean, go and pull back the curtain because you said you play with guys on the defensive side of the ball where you just had to let them be them. Who are some of those players that you can share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, well, God rest his soul. And this one, he would actually laugh at this, but Buddy, Junior Seau. I mean, when we made that championship run of the 16-0, 18-1 season, I mean, he was one of those guys where it's like, listen, Junior's going to call his own blitz from time to time. Junior's going to be out of pocket. He may not cover the running back, but it's like one of those situations where we better have his back because he's such a dynamic player. He's been doing it for so many years at such a high level. And so you're going to give him a license to uphold things like that. When it came to Rodney Harrison, same situations where it was very, very easily transferable to switch up a defense or to switch up one side of the ball if you're working with him, where I would rotate back to safety. He would rotate down to the corner, vice versa. But again, that comes with experience, time, and relationship. And so all these things are interchangeable, but the number one thing that always has to be in play is communication. If you're not communicating and if you're not on the same page, I mean, it's an immediate hole and weakness in the defense. And so again, just based off of what I've seen with the Cowboys and their defenses and some of the blown coverages, some of the blown responsibilities and assignments, it just seems like all the time everybody's out there operating on different accords and they're not in sync with communication.
No question about it. I mean, when you talk about players like Junior Seau or Ellis Hobbs, you don't find those guys just anywhere. Like, you can't get those guys with a resume. Those candidates are amazing. Now, when it comes to ZipRecruiter, you can find amazing candidates fast. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. You can do this right now. Now, check it. ZipRecruiter's smart technology identifies top talent for your roles very quickly. Now, immediately you can post your job to ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology, and it starts showing you all the qualified people. It lets you connect with the top candidates ASAP, like someone like a Ellis Hobbs, and you can use ZipRecruiter's pre-written invite to apply message to personally reach out to your favorite candidates and encourage them to apply sooner. So get rid of all that other bull junk, ditch everything out, all those other hiring sites. ZipRecruiter is what you are looking for to find that proverbial needle in the haystack. Did you know 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day? Now try it for free right now, exclusive at this web address, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Again, that is ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Baby, please believe ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Trust me on that. Please believe. Now, Bleav in Cowboys, Parrish, Ellis Hobbs, brought to you by FanDuel, keeping things rolling. We are preparing for the kickoff of the season. The banner will be raised in Philadelphia. Micah Parsons will not be there, as I predicted many times. He'll be in another city getting ready for another game. But we're focused on the Cowboys. We know last season it wasn't good when it comes to the Eagles and the Cowboys. If you're a Cowboys fan, Eagles scored 75 points in the 2 games. Cowboys scored a combined 13. Offense was not an effective way to get anything done. Now, just in case you don't know, if you forgot, Dak Prescott did not play in either one of those games in week 10 or week 16. So looking forward to this season. I've said this a couple of times. To me, now that you have Micah Parsons no longer a part of the defense, the focus obviously is going to be on the offense. That's where everything is going to shift to. I think in a perfect world, you were going to have a team similar to Cincinnati. Call them Cincinnati South. Cincinnati last year, we know that they have an MVP caliber quarterback and Joe back there, and he has 2 all-pro receivers, something similar with the Cowboys. All that being said, my theory is the identity of the team is going to be, we are going to have to outscore you. So looking at the Cowboys offense, Dak coming back, he's healthy with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. What are your thoughts on the Cowboys offense?
I think the unknown variable right now, and I would say variable with as a catalyst, is experience. And I would match that word experience with together, because again, there has to be on offense. You know this just as well as I do. Everything has to be synced and in line. On defense, you have a little bit more freedom to move around this and that. You can't have blown assignments on offense. You know, if you allow a guy come through, a blocking scheme is missed by one person, somebody's getting through the A gap, the B gap, boom, plays over with, right? Timing is everything. With those new additions at receiver, would you have CeeDee Lamb coming back, Dak Prescott coming off of injury, have they had enough time and experience together to get this ball rolling quickly, right? The one thing that we saw because of experience with the Cincinnati Bengals, as a matter of fact, they actually have it as kind of like their stereotype. They start off slow, knowing that they're going to gel together and come out strong. But they're even changing that narrative by playing some of the guys earlier within preseason, right? I think what also is the engine that's going to drive this thing, and it's a very unknown variable right now, what does the running game look like? Because you're going to be able to get away with that during week 1, week 4, week 5. And as you get into the October, the November months, ball gets a little bit stiffer, muscles a little bit more sore. You're not going to be able to put that thing down on a rope, down the sideline on a 9 route. You're going to have to be able to establish the run to wear down that defense to open up the passing game. I don't know how confident I would be in that run game right now. And like I said, every team that I've seen, maybe outside of the Rams, had to have a run game established in order to get it done, or a very solid defense. And so we saw last year what a run game will do for you in the Super Bowl, to where just the threat of Saquon Barkley kept the Kansas City Chiefs at bay, because everything he did leading up to the Super Bowl didn't equate to him going bigger in the Super Bowl, but his presence was known and that run game was established. So those 3 factors of experience, togetherness with the run game is really what I'm interested to see, and will take the Cowboys in the direction of either a great season or a season that 1, 2, 3 Cancun.
No, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest questions offensively. Who is going to be the one toting the rock for the Cowboys? I mean, between Williams, you have the rookie, and Jaden Blue, you have a lot of different players, but that role hasn't really been solidified yet. Over to the Philadelphia side, I think that role is clearly solidified, I should say. Saquon Barkley, obviously one of the best players in the league, voted the best player on the top 100 on the NFL Network's list. We saw what he did last season, hurdling over players backwards. So let's go ahead and take this to another level, because we know that he's going to get his numbers. Over or under, do you think he goes over 95 yards in this game facing the Cowboys?
I do believe it. I think with the banner coming out, with all the emotion, the absence of Micah Parsons, that's going to be an easily excuse to lean on with the Dallas Cowboys. Even though they come out trying to establish that run defense and knowing that he's going to get the ball handed off, that's a massive offensive line that you're dealing with over there. So I look at Saquon Barkley in the run game as a micro of the macro of the tush push. People try to stop it. They try to design around it, but they continually are getting those first downs or those crucial conversions each and every time. So good luck in stopping that running game, but I don't think it's happening. Over.
Gonna go over on that. Saquon Barkley is absolutely amazing. We saw he made the cover of Madden, and that guy is just somebody that is clearly a difference maker. We saw last season when you look at the running back position, is something in the NFL that people say, oh, okay, this position's been diminished. I think there was a revitalization last season when you talk about the Saquon Barkley, talk about Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, one of the players who allegedly wanted to come. Let me not even say allegedly. He wanted to come.
Yeah.
Cowboys didn't want to break bread. Just coming from you, obviously, I know a lot more about you than some people. You played DB at a very high level, at the highest level in NFL, but initially, you was that dude toting that rock in that line of famous DeSoto running backs that made history. Your overall thoughts on the position of running back in the NFL?
Yeah, man. I mean, we see it all the time. We see how crucial that position is when it comes to blocking, when it comes to being able to leak out as an exit valve for the quarterback to dump it off. There's just so many things that you can do with the running back. I think where the evolution really started was with my man Falk. When it came, Marshall Falk, when it came to him being able to come out the backfield on that arrow route, some other people call it this, but basically coming out one side or the other, but then beelining back directly at the linebacker and going vertical up the hash marks. Once that part of the game was exposed as mismatching, you saw a lot of conversion of running backs going to that more skinnier, leaner type that could get out of the backfield or whatever. But somehow that started to mutate into, well, we're just going to create another receiver, right? But you have quarterbacks getting blindsided. You have one less blocker within the structure of the offensive scheme. And so having that Renaissance resurgence of a Saquon Barkley who can also block as well as run, catch the ball, Derrick Henry as well, it just gives you that sense of how vital that position is. Because, again, when you're talking about somebody who's touching the ball pretty much second most of the offensive plays outside of the quarterback, why wouldn't that be an important role, right? And so it's one of those things to where I think because of that testing of the water and that resurgence that we've had, as you mentioned, we're not going to go back to that older model of trying to convert the running backs into receivers. And we should see more of an evolution of them being more dynamic or more integrated within the flow of the game, of the entire aspect of the offense in general.
I mean, I got to ask you this, and I think I might know who your answer is, but I'm going to allow you to say it. When we look at the best running backs in the history of the game, who was your favorite and why?
Oh, man. I mean, for me growing up, like you said, and like you mentioned, being the type of running back that I was and growing up in Texas, I kind of have more of a nostalgia towards a Walter Payton because, like I said, when I was growing up, my father actually trained with Eddie and Walter at Jackson State University. And so that's where I kind of fell in love with being able to dish out pain and become tough and run the ball a certain way because I was watching highlights of him. And then from the training aspect, right? And so when you watch Walter Payton or you watch that era of running back, it was all about productivity, but also about establishing yourself as the guy that's going to dominate this game when the ball gets in your hand. And so as that continually is going on, and we've seen to where, running backs are now, again, getting the ball 30 plus times a game. I like it. I like the fact of that. And so, yeah, Walter Payton was my guy. That's why I wore number 34.
Yep. Yeah. See, a lot of people don't know that. If people saw you wearing number 27 or number 11 when you were in college, but they don't know that you was rocking a 34 back in the day.
You got me, big dog. You got me, my boy. You got me.
Of course, hey, this is Bleav in Cowboys. Parrish, Ellis Hobbs here, all brought to you by FanDuel. Now, looking at the game, we're focused on at the kickoff. Cowboys going to Philadelphia. Now, initially, before the Micah Parsons trade, the line opened up and the Cowboys were +6. After the trade, it went to +7.5. Now it's at 8.5. So I need to know, do the Cowboys keep this? I mean, it keeps on going up and up. Do you think the Cowboys keep this game close, or is it going to be a blowout like our friends in Vegas are thinking it's going to be?
Man, I think if it was a home game, maybe so. And even that is more of a crapshoot, especially in Dallas, because there's so many distractions, right? There's so much entertainment and extracurricular stuff outside of the game. But being on the road, I think that they're gonna, kind of like that band of brother, all for one for all. They'll be able to have a sense of backs against the wall. It's us against them. They'll keep it close. It's still a professional game, right? I think that it's one of those things to where, very rarely in the history of the NFL do you just see complete blowouts, right? It's just that, like, these are professional athletes that we're talking about, and so I think they keep it relatively a game, But again, the resurgence of the running back, how Philadelphia is able to establish the run game, you're going to clearly see their dominance throughout the game and definitely leading into that third or fourth quarter because of that run game. It just wears you down.
So paint the picture for me, because you've seen so many different scenarios in your time in the game of football, also coaching now. Give me the scenario, and this is the part that all Cowboys fans are going to love. Give me the scenario how Cowboys go into Philadelphia, cancel Christmas, pop the balloon, step on your cake. How did the Cowboys go into Philadelphia? What's the game plan for them to win this game?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's very simple when it comes to that. And when I say it, I'm going to give you what makes it difficult. It's about doing what you do best and sticking with that and continually honing in on like, what are your strengths within your offensive game, or just as a football team, right? Bill, he loved to do this. He always wanted to understand the concept or the style of that team. Meaning when it's a 3rd down and 4, what is going to be their go-to concept? What is going to be their establishment, right? And so for the Dallas Cowboys, if it is wanting to run the ball, they need to establish the run. They need to focus in on that. How they're going to get that done, I don't know. Where it starts to deteriorate for the Cowboys is like it always is, the emotional side of it. Where all of a sudden Jerry's coming out of the stands, he's on the sideline. They continually putting the camera on him. I wouldn't doubt if he has a direct line of communication to Schottenheimer. He loves to keep them coaches close, right? And so just somebody getting out of pocket and disrupting what they've established at the gameplay. It would be, and this is kind of like the overall concept, right? It would be you and I getting ready to do a bank heist. And we got the plan. We've been planning this for years. And as soon as we get to the day of the bank heist, we start doing different stuff. We've been practicing for a year straight on what we're going to do as soon as we get to the door. And as soon as something happens that we planned for, but it doesn't make us feel right, we all of a sudden start freestyling out there. And that's what a lot of times what you see with the Cowboys, these trick plays, or, where did that come from? Or, we start handing the ball off to CeeDee Lamb in the I formation. Like, he ain't there for that. He there to catch the ball. So you laugh, but you know as well as I do. That's the nonsense that we start seeing.
Right. Yeah, we've seen some unconventional plays. Like, I'm not mad at the creativity. However, there's certain people you want them to do what they do. I mean, maybe Michael Irvin got a reverse every now and then, but we never saw him line up in the backfield.
No, yeah, man. That was not the go-to. That's we might go to it.
Man, hey, so check it. Before we get out of here, obviously, we appreciate you for joining. This is Ellis Hobbs right here. I'm Bleav in Cowboys. Parrish, we're here every week. Jesse Holly with some other things he had to tend to, so he'll be back soon. But growing up, obviously, in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, going to DeSoto, being here for the glory years, as everybody knows, a lot of people have been watching it on Netflix. Your favorite moment or moments growing up watching the Cowboys are, go ahead.
Man, I told people talk about their fandemonium, or what they believe is like their fan base and how strong it is, right? I said, listen, ain't none of y'all ever walked into a grocery store and a whole aisle is dedicated to the football team. Like, that's what we deal with in Dallas. That's what we see, right? And that we are used to that, right? And it sells. Best believe, like right next to the grits and the oatmeal, you got Dallas Cowboy apparel right there, right? But one of my greatest things, and I talked to you about it on Saturday, man, I had this leather duffel bag. And if I go up in my parents' attic, I'm pretty sure it's still there. But no matter what was going on Sunday, I made sure that leather duffel bag was sitting on my right-hand side. It had nothing in it. I don't know when it became my lucky rabbit's foot. I don't know when it became that kind of go-to thing for me in baseball, that rally cap. But when I had that leather duffel bag, I felt like the three-headed monster, or the original big three, was unstoppable. Where Emmett was going to get, 150 plus, Playmaker was going to do what he did, and Aikman was going to put it out there for him and Alvin Harper to get it, right? And so it's just one of those things to where, yeah, man, that nostalgia. When I watched that docuseries, and I hadn't even got through it all. Matter of fact, I actually had to cut it off because the kids were ruining it for me. They were too loud. And so I said, no, I can't enjoy it.
The kids are trying to ruin your podcast.
Yeah, I said I could. Yeah. Kids in the background trying to ruin it right now, like they always do. Welcome to dad life. But it's like, it's one of those situations where that bag was my greatest moment of, I remember those NFC playoff games against the 49ers, and I panicked because I didn't have the bag next to me. I ran and got the bag and put it right there, and boom, we on the way to the Super Bowl, and we doing our thing, man. But yeah, those moments were precious and irreplaceable, invaluable.
No question about it, man. Ellis, we appreciate you for joining us today. Bleav in Cowboys, brought to you by FanDuel. We appreciate you. So,
Yes,
Ellis,
sir.
hey, I usually leave this opportunity for whoever's next to me to leave our viewers with any final thoughts, anything you want to tell us about what you're doing or what you got going on. The floor is yours.
Yeah, man. So life is good. I can't complain, man. Happy wife, happy life with family. My day-to-day, man, day trading. Became a full-time day trader back a few years ago, 2016 actually. But within that, it's allowed me to do other things as far as real estate investing, e-com as well, and then mentorship and just public speaking. And so those four things I balance. It's difficult from time to time being that entrepreneur, but it's a passion of mine. And it's not in that necessarily that order. Mentorship is really the number one thing for me, because what I didn't have growing up is always what I want to provide to these young kids, but also more importantly, student athletes, because I know how difficult that side of the world is. But yeah, man, if I'm looking forward to more with you, man, and looking forward to evolving in this space and continually moving forward, brother. More to come.
Yes, indeed. There it is, man. This is my friend to the end, my brother from another mother. We've been connected since, man, Ellis' freshman year and I was a senior. We got locked in and we still locked in today. And we appreciate you for locking in with us. Bleav in Cowboys, Ellis Hobbs and Parrish. Jesse will be back next time. Hey, that's all we got. Love, respect, and salute.
Peace.